This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Looking for a place to relax and unwind after a busy day? Cigars Lounge at 8th and Q in the Haymarket is the perfect place to enjoy good company, a cocktail, and of course a cigar. Visit Cigars Lounge on Tuesdays for Top Shelf Tuesday and enjoy 50% off select spirits. Cigars Lounge offers Perdomo, San Cristobal, Rock Patel, and more of the top stogie brands that you know and love. But that's not all. If you mention this ad between noon and 5 p.m., you'll receive 15% off your entire tab just by mentioning the ticket. Check out Cigars Lounge today at 8th and Q in the Haymarket.
For 15 years, Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping has been helping Lincoln become healthier, happier, and more fit through our proven combination of kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching. And to celebrate 15 years of success, we're offering you 50% off our next 10-week challenge beginning September 14th. That's 10 weeks of fun group fitness classes and individualized coaching for half off. And at the end of the 10 weeks, someone's walking away with $1,000 for the best transformation. Come check it out. What do you have to lose? Click on the banner at theticketfm.com to learn more. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill or 70th and Vine. And check us out online at fxblincoln.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
If you're a homeowner or a business owner, you have a lot of projects, and no one has an unlimited budget or time. Sunbelt Rentals makes all jobs less stressful with no need to purchase large equipment or hire a crew. You can do it yourself with rentals and everything from aerators and power rakes for spring yard work to stump grinders, concrete mixers, tile saws, and more. Check out their inventory in Lincoln, north of Cornhusker Highway on 56th Street, or online at sunbeltrentals.com. Follow the Huskers to the City of Angels when Nebraska plays at USC in November. Book your official Nebraska alumni travel package at huskerfantravel.com. Choose from 2 or 3 night options that include a downtown LA hotel, exclusive welcome event, game day transportation, and the official Husker Huddle pregame party. Add on game tickets for an optional upgrade. Transportation to and from LA not included. Join the official Nebraska alumni trip to see the Huskers play at USC. Spots are limited, so book your trip now at huskerfantravel.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and Truck Month is back. We have absolutely gigantic savings right now at Koppel. They are offering $12,500 off on select new pickups. That is not a mistake. You heard right. $12,500 off list price right now on select new pickups. Those discounted units, though, will not last long. These are all manager specials. You have to come in now, so hurry in down 144th Street or shop online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. Stock number G356093 must trade.
Your child was embarrassed when you arrived at their basketball game. 75% of parents or guardians report current alcohol use. Drinking alcohol can cause harm to children and loved ones. By drinking less, your child will be excited to see you at their basketball game. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air,
and Electrical.
For 15 years, Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping has been helping Lincoln become healthier, happier, and more fit through our proven combination of kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching. And to celebrate 15 years of success, we're offering you 50% off our next 10-week challenge beginning September 14th. That's 10 weeks of fun group fitness classes and individualized coaching for half half off. And at the end of the 10 weeks, someone's walking away with $1,000 for the best transformation. Come check it out. What do you have to lose? Click on the banner at theticketfm.com to learn more. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill or 70th and Vine. And check us out online at fxblincoln.com.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is the Don't Punt Hour with former Nebraska receiver.
Throwing over the middle, completes the pass. He's got speed to the end zone. Touchdown! 45 yards.
And return specialist.
This time he beats the kicker and one more.
DeMornay Pierson-El.
Not only does the sideline have confidence in Pierson-El, but Pierson-El has confidence in Pierson-El.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome into the Don't Punt Hour. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. As always, we got the host, DeMornay Pierson-El, streaming in. And if you guys want to join in, as always, use the streams, use the Sartor Heyman text line. We talked a lot of college football week 2 results on Monday. We talked NFL results on Tuesday. Today, we're going to dive into week 3, some of the big games to circle. Before we do that, we're definitely going to give the flowers to Husker Volleyball. And also tomorrow, don't worry, it's going to be all UNI, and we'll also dive in a little bit about that today, how to avoid the quote-unquote trap game. So, DeMornay Pierson-El, I do want to start things off talking about Nebraska volleyball. They escape in a close one, but they do what they needed to do. They beat Creighton. They really look dominant in those first 2 sets. Creighton almost pulls off the reverse sweep, but Nebraska pretty much led the way the entire way in that 5th set. Give me your thoughts on Nebraska volleyball, and is there any reason to panic right now? Now, Creighton is a ranked team. I mean, they're good, and if you look at SMU, they swept Nebraska, and then they also went on and played another ranked opponent, and they swept them too. So SMU, I don't think that loss looks nearly as bad in hindsight, and I think even in real time, if you watch that game, SMU looks pretty damn good. So give me your thoughts on Husker volleyball and where you're at in terms of this team being able to get back to another championship game.
It's still early, you know. It's a new team. You got people, you know, that were on the team last year, but people are stepping up in other ways and whatnot. I mean, it's not easy to get back to the national championship. I understand, you know, that's the custom and whatnot, but it takes work. But games that like last night that they can weather the storm like that, that'll be good for later on in the season when you have, you know, your tough opponents, when you are making your run in the stadium and whatnot, or, you know, you kind of get up and then, you know, they've battled back and you fight through adversity. So I'm not saying we should panic. I'm not saying, oh, no, they're not great. They're not the standard or what it is. It's early. Like, you know, stuff is going to happen. I know last year they started off, you know, undefeated or went undefeated for a while there or whatnot. It's a new year. It's a new team. People have to step up. So just take one game at a time, assert their dominance. No matter, as long as, you know, the wins keep coming and whatnot, you know, we'll when we look up and, you know, the tournament's here, whatnot, then, you know, we can assess what is and what isn't. But I wouldn't say, oh, hit the panic button or anything like that.
Yeah, and I think we got to remember how spoiled we were last year.
Yeah.
Not only were they winning games, they weren't losing a single set. Like, it took, I think it was 402, 464, 5685. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say it might have been that Penn State game before things got really close where we pulled the reverse sweep. I know they lost, I think, a set earlier to that as well, but we were so spoiled by Nebraska just sweeping everybody with the number behind them or not. It didn't seem to matter. Now, Nebraska still looks good. And that's kind of part when you're a powerhouse program like that, those games that they schedule early on, they're tough opponents. And we're seeing that with SMU, right? That's not a team that anybody can just walk into. They're going to be ranked here pretty shortly. I mean, that's 2 ranked teams that they've swept. They look good. So that's a team to keep an eye on. I think hindsight's going to really say, yes, they swept you. You never want to be swept. but that's a hell of a team right there. And they're probably going to be in the mix late in the season if things stay clicking like they are right now. So they did what they need to, right? You beat Creighton. That's always a big one. We see that with Nebraska basketball, Nebraska baseball last year. It hurts when you don't beat the Blue Jays. They were able to take care of that. So I'm with you there. I'm not anywhere near panicking. Still early on. I think they got time to kind of get their act together. And really not act together. Just clean up the very small details.
Be more consistent, just be more dominant. Like it's not anything that we haven't seen. It's not anything that they don't know. They have a young team, and they're taking, the next steps of things and whatnot. I mean, it's like with rookie quarterbacks, you just asked me the other day, how long till, a rookie quarterback kind of gets it or whatnot. I said it might take a month. They haven't been playing, that long, and the whole preseason and the whole, training camp of leading up to the season, Coach has said, his frustration. Coach has said, certain things and everything like that. So, like, it takes time, to fix it. And even with those things that he said, they're still being able to pop things off and still being able to gather wins like they did last night. So, I mean, like I said, it's not anything to panic over.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm going to continue to watch this team. They got to tighten up a few things, but when you got the head coach being John Cook, you feel pretty good about that team being able to figure out those small details out. So they got the win. That's what matters most. I don't really care what it is. As long as you're winning games, that's all that really matters. I don't care how close it is. You found a way to win. You avoided the reverse sweep. And I will say those things are almost tougher. When you have all the momentum and it shifts in a moment, and volleyball is such a momentum sport, to be able to come out in the fifth set and pretty much lead it the entire way says a lot about that team's mental state that, even when things aren't going their way, they don't panic. So we shouldn't panic either as a fan base. I think they'll be all right. And we'll see when they get into Big Ten play, especially it's kind of weird in volleyball, but they'll be better off in Big Ten play. There's some teams you got to watch out for, especially some of the new additions. But you feel pretty good about that team being able to take care of business once they get into conference play. All right, that being said, I had to give the flowers to volleyball because they beat a rival in Creighton. I got to ask you, where does Creighton rank in terms of rivals? Because obviously football, you never played Creighton, you never will, unless Creighton pulls something ridiculous off. But you feel like the University of Omaha would be the first one to do that. Where does Creighton rank in terms of rivalries? Because we don't play them in football, and that seems to fuel a lot of the rivalries. But it's certainly there in basketball, and it's certainly there in baseball and volleyball, as we just saw.
I mean, it's an in-state rivalry. It's a known university. They have very good sports teams and whatnot. It may be not like Wisconsin or Iowa-ish, but I mean that's definitely a rivalry that you like to play. For basketball, I mean they've been good for basketball in a while. They've put in some top talent. In the NBA. So, and that ranks, you get to kind of see that and be on that spotlight. They've been to the tournament and, have done well in the tournament for, multiple years. So, I'm not going to say, it's a huge, and it's not Iowa State type of bidding. It's kind of more so a little sister little brother, big brother kind of fight between the two and whatnot. But even with that, it's like, you still want to win. You still want to – it's bragging rights, to the state. I mean, that's what it is. So, I mean, it's not anything crazy. It's not, the Iron Bowl. It's not, Michigan and Ohio State. It ain't that. But, it's a more of a, bragging rights, in the state of Nebraska type thing.
Yeah, it's really all it comes down to me. It's like I don't really have any animosity towards Creighton until basketball and baseball and volleyball comes around. Like I really root for them, in a way that's
typically
not like I'm going to put on the blue and say go Jays, but
no.
I hope for their success because you want good athletes, good talent to represent Nebraska.
Period.
And even though it sucks that Baylor Shireman was a Creighton Blue Jay, it was cool to see him come to that Colorado game and said, you know what, Derek White, we're going to bring you too. Let's go check out Nebraska together. My home state. He's a Nebraska kid himself. So it's kind of cool when you see those things. Like that doesn't happen unless Creighton puts together a hell of a basketball program that's good enough to not only develop Baylor Shireman, but put him on a platform to where he can be in real NBA talent. And now he's on the Boston Celtics. And it's kind of cool to see him. I saw a lot of pictures, people, Derek White, he was downtown in Lincoln. Mm-hmm. So those things are cool. So yeah, that rivalry is always interesting to me because it's pretty quiet, especially come football season, because a lot of Creighton Blue Jay fans put on the red and go watch Husker football, which, you know what, we'll take all the fan support we can get. But yeah, it's certainly one that bubbles up as it gets closer to it. So you shout out again, volleyball. They get it done nonetheless. All right, let's talk about some football here real quick before we dive into the week 2 schedule on the other side of this. People are calling this game the quote unquote trap game. Do you believe in the trap game conversations that happens every year in college football?
Yes, because it's an all a trap game is a distraction. You start believing, a little bit more. You start getting complacent of like your everyday stuff or stuff that got you there. You kind of start, peeking over the bush or like listening to the noise and things and whatnot. That's what the trap game is to where when you show up, it's you overlooking in your opponent. You're not necessarily giving them the respect that they deserve. And you might come out flat. You might, I can do this because we're not playing Colorado this week. When the week before, they might have been getting a lot more sleep. They might have been cutting off a lot of things. They wasn't turning on the PlayStations and the Xbox. That they were good. They were doing things above and beyond. These trap games is the complete opposite. Like you're not typically doing at least your normal stuff to make sure that you can do what you need to do to secure your responsibility for the week. And if you do that at multiple places and multiple levels, multiple positions and whatnot, to where you kind of just going through the motions and whatnot, it'll show up on a game. And that's when you don't want it to happen. And you'll have the upsets kind of like you had last week with NIU and Notre Dame.
Yeah, and I feel like that stuff's just going to happen more and more. And just for reference, we'll really dive into UNI tomorrow, the University of Northern Iowa, for all those that are curious. They got a hell of a running back group. I'll say that much. They like to run the ball, and they got some big guys.
A hell of a running offense. That's it.
Yeah, they play smash mouth football, and those teams. I mean, we saw that. I think it was North Dakota, not too far back, where not NDSU, North Dakota, where they came in there and they had a hell of a running back and they ran all over. So those are things you got to watch out for. Those teams, I said it before, you give them a glimmer of hope. They don't play scared. Like you're not going to find they have nothing to lose. So if you walk into that thinking, oh, we're going to be able to bully them around, that team likes to bully people. And guess what? If they get a few pancakes on you and the running back breaks free, they're going to be coming for you every single play after. Now you feel pretty good about this Nebraska defense, but like you said, if they're hopping on the PS5, the Xbox, whatever they got too late into the night, not taking care of their body, it doesn't matter how big you are if you come out sluggish. Exactly. So that's the only thing you got to worry about. And then I do believe in the trap game simply because there's so many distractions for college students today, especially in the era of NIL. Now, does this Nebraska team feel like it's susceptible to the trap game, though? Because I give Matt Rule credit in the fact that they treated Colorado like they would any other game. Mm-hmm. You didn't want to build it up to the point where it's like, we're going to do extra because this is Colorado. No, you do it because that's the standard, and that's the standard for every game. Do you feel like this team is susceptible to the trap game, or do you feel like they're going to have their mind right?
I mean, anybody can necessarily be susceptible to it. The coaches can only do so much with the kids in the building. It's not about what's done in the building. It's about what's done outside of, when the coaches is around and whatnot. But I think the coaches have gotten them and shown them to a place to where, what things can be like and what things are supposed to be like and what things are going to be like, going forward. And I think that part is contagious. But Matt Rule is he's a detail type of person. He understands that. So even with this week, they're going to hear it a lot, reminding them of stuff, making sure that they don't, like, remember how in fall camp, I think the fans came out there and they kind of got complacent with things because people was watching and everything like that. So he has other things to kind of draw back that to where you can't just overlook this team and whatnot.
Yeah, and that camp, was it was more of like you're doing too much, right? You're trying to show off, you're trying to play outside of your role, and it's like, just do the things we practice and you'll look fantastic. You'll look great as a team. You got to get rid of the individual stuff, just because your girl's here at practice down doesn't mean you got to go try and make some big plays to show off. No, just do what you do and you'll come out winning games. So I'm with Matt Rule there. I think, like you said, they're kids. I call them kids, even though they're getting paid a lot of money, but I'd call myself a kid at 18. That age, it's pretty easy to get distracted by a lot of that outside noise. And does it feel different when you got a number next to the name that, maybe you start to believe a little bit more? Does it make you more susceptible to maybe overlooking teams?
I mean, that's just a human nature, but as my coach, said stuff to us and everything, don't take the cheese. I think holistically, whether it's Tony, he came out, with a worse defense. They do a good job, I feel like, of resetting the week and kind of they find a new thing to focus on for that week. And I think that's a good job that Rule does it, a good job that Tony does it. So when you got, staples like that, taking care of business and reiterating stuff and like that, I don't think it'll be a problem. Again, because Matt Rule is just such on things. He's not gonna let him slip. And even if it is a little bit, he'll address it. He has no problem, saying or speaking up for stuff like that. So any human nature, will probably, slip into that or have some type of lapse of something like that. But I don't think, they stay there that long or throughout the whole week.
Yep. And, Rule being detail oriented, one of my favorite things he's done so far was actually last season was, you want black shirts, go earn it. Felt like we're giving those away like they're candy, for a few years there. And it's like, can you call this like the black shirts if teams are lighting us up and it doesn't seem to matter who we play? It just feels like everybody's got a good opportunity to score a lot of points on Nebraska. Now, even though you could say the defense certainly wasn't the problem, it was one of those things where it's like, let's play some few games here and let's see if you earn it. And then through time, they did end up earning those black shirts, but it felt good to see, you don't see that often when coaches come into a program and it's like, I'm not just going to bring my DNA into this. What's the history of the school? What's the school care about? What are they known for? What are the real pillars that have been here from the very beginning? Mm-hmm. And I give Matt Rule credit, and he's done this everywhere. And I think, that's why he has a lot of success, is he doesn't push away the culture that's already there. Yeah. And that's where I think Nebraska's run into a lot of problems with a lot of the previous hires. You can go back, you can pick the coach where it fell apart, and you probably saw a dramatic change in culture when you say quote unquote fell apart. So I think that's important. I think Matt Rule understands that. And again, it's about the details. He's detailing on it to the points where he wants to understand the history and the culture of the programs that he's going to coach. So I think they'll come to you and I prepared. I don't think they're going to have one of those where they're overlooking their opponent. I mean, you're finally ranked for the first time since 2019. It'd be foolish to overlook teams now. Yeah. And I do have hope that these guys, not more than hope, I have some real belief that they're going to be able to stay locked in enough, because we saw it with, you said it, Notre Dame, Northern Illinois. It happens way more than you would think. Do you think we're going to see this more with some of these teams upsetting? And is this the part where some of these colleges are going to be a little more hesitant to go ahead and schedule these FCS teams, because it's really doesn't do much for you if you beat them, does a lot of damage if you lose? Like, that's going to hang on Notre Dame's head. Even if they somehow go undefeated the rest of the season, they're going to be circling that game being like, you lost to Northern Illinois.
For a case like that, for Notre Dame, they already have, a weird schedule to where they kind of pick and don't play anybody. So those type of games, they can't afford to not play, relatively a good non-conference game, because if your first three games is Mercer, UMass, and JMU, or, something like that, to where, or just, South Dakota or something like that, people
are Cajuns, you pick it
like so your strength of schedule will be jeopardized. So I think college football holistically won't do that, because then again, when it goes to looking at schedules and whatnot, and it gets to a few teams that have the same record or whatnot, and this team lost to Alabama, let's say USC lost to Alabama and Notre Dame lost to NIU, they're going to give it to USC because, well, the competitor, the competition is completely different. So you can't slack off so much and not play somewhat of a nobody. Your nobody still has to be somewhat relevant. Same thing with Colorado playing NDSU. Regardless, if they win their first 2 games and everything like that, you would look at them, completely different because the people that they've played. So I definitely think, playing good non-conference games isn't going anywhere, and it's kind of a necessary evil that you kind of got to face every now and then.
Yeah, it still blows my mind that Colorado, I mean, to me, that's a lose-lose, because you're going to get credit because that is a dominant FCS school. 4 of the last 5 until the Jackrabbits said, you know what, let me go ahead and take one from you. But like, that's, even though that they have a lot of respect in the FCS, like if you lose that game, it still blows up in your face in such a bad way that even though that school deserves all the credit in the world, if Nebraska played them week 0, week 1, I feel nervous about that game because they know who they are. They know what their identity is. They don't have players transferring in and out left and right because it's a lot more, you get to those programs, they're smaller. It's a lot more consistent. People are looking for their shot. Those are games where their culture is going to be there week 1, week 0. If you are, say Nebraska's case, or definitely in Colorado's case, you got transfers everywhere. Does that team know who they are already that early in week 0?
It's not even the whole transfer thing. I mean, that brand is a championship brand. That school is a championship school. They know their way. They have a way to win, and their way of been winning has been, their secret sauce for a minute. So if you're undecided or, unidentified in what necessarily you're going to be like and everything like that's a good challenge because it's going to make you, do some things. And, if you come out of that, you feel pretty good about, what you put on tape and stuff and everything like that. Now you have to follow that up continuously. And that is a good, a first step in things or whatnot, but it's not a cakewalk. It's not an easy game.
Yeah. And I'll push back a little bit on the transfer thing. I think it does matter. Maybe not in certain positions, but if you're patching together your offensive line through the transfer portal, that's one of the groups that they need that chemistry and that development. That is an awful team to test yourself against when you're trying to figure out what that chemistry looks like against a team that straight up wants to punch you in the mouth, not just, the first series, but the second, third, fourth, all night long. That's what they want to do. And they were pretty successful at it. You look at Colorado's rushing defense. I think they're dead last right now, or excuse me, rushing offense. They're dead last in rushing offense with about just over 1.4 yards per carry, not even 1.5. So like they can't match time possession. They got to throw the ball around the yard. And if they get behind, you know what NDSU is going to do? They're going to control the ball, control time possession, and they got an offensive line. And again, they know who they are. They know what their culture is. They know what that quote unquote secret sauce that you mentioned is. A makeshift, I don't want to say makeshift, a quick put together transfer portal offensive line.
It takes time. It just takes time. Again, we went to the transfer portal and got, some offensive line. We had some patch up things or whatnot. So I'm not saying it's all bad and everything like that, but it's week 1, week 2, like you're gonna see sloppy stuff and everything like that. And as people continue to go forth, in football and continue, like you'll see them cleaning up. So yeah. I've had numerous of coaches like, you never think you are, you never think you're as good when you lose, but you never think you are as bad, when you win. Mm-hmm. So like, you can't like, yeah, you lost, but you done some good things. You got to play clean, consistent football. And, we have yet to see things from, Colorado and that offensive line in that particular situation. But again, they got to work at whatever they need to work at to get to that mode and figure things out and whatnot. I don't know if that's, better coaching, simplifying things. You got, freshmen on that line. You got people that are trying to prove themselves. It takes line on the offense, and we all know this. So, I mean, hopefully, they get things figured out and moving on and so forth.
Yeah, I was going to ask this, but final question, since we're on Colorado, do you think they pull it together, or do you think they beat last year's margins and even go bowling? Because it does look like a lot of the problems from last year still exist.
Within the Pac-12, I think they have a shot just because of the type of teams that they're going to be playing, especially with the type of teams that Colorado played in early. There's not too many teams necessarily like that in the Big 12. And you can kind of get easily by kind of that type of offense of what you're doing. I think they have a chance. Now, will they, hit those strides and whatnot? we'll see. But with them being in the Big 12, and like I said, I mean, other than probably Utah and maybe Houston, maybe people can say Arizona or whatnot. I'm not believing too much of the hype on Arizona. Utah is, the main. UCF, is another good one. Maybe outside of those three, maybe, gives you a challenge. Everybody outside of that, I think they'll definitely be probably heavily favored versus those opponents.
Yeah, that Nebraska defense is stingy, and we're going to see how good that Nebraska defense is based on how Colorado's offense looks going forward. Because, again, I think Matt Rule said it pretty well. It's like, yeah, I know they have some elite talent, but he can't mention in our corners and our safeties. Like, we got some guys, too, and I feel pretty confident. He was right to say that because they showed out. All right, with that being said, we're going to talk about some of these games coming forward in Week 3. You mentioned Utah. That's one of those good ones. Utah versus Utah State. You got a rivalry there. That should be a good one, as well as a bunch of others. So don't go anywhere. We're going to break through some of the Week 3 games to watch. We'll also give you what were the biggest games of Week 2 in terms of viewing, who came out on top, second, third. It was a really good weekend for NBC. I'll say that much. Don't go anywhere. We'll keep it rolling on the Don't Punt Hour with former Husker himself, the morning Pierson-El.
In today's digital landscape, the security of your business is non-negotiable. That's why you need better cybersecurity solutions. At Hamilton, we make it our business to protect your network, data, and digital assets with the latest in cybersecurity technology. Our dedicated team of experts has the technology in place to protect what matters most to you and your business. Stay ahead of cyber threats with better cybersecurity protection. Hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Riddles Jewelry is excited to be celebrating 65 years. 65 years of so many incredible memories celebrating with each of your special moments. In celebration of the 65th Riddles Jewelry anniversary, we will be offering up to 40% off all engagement rings and all diamond fashion jewelry. The excitement doesn't stop there. Riddles Jewelry is also offering 18 months, 0% interest and $0 down financing on all qualifying purchases. Riddles Jewelry has always been known for incredible customer service, one of the largest selections of engagement rings, and don't forget about the on-site jeweler. Come celebrate with us at Riddles Jewelry, your one-stop diamond shop with exclusive Levian jewelry, Pandora Charm jewelry, and more. All at Riddles inside Gateway Mall.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your wake and forecast for today, we'll see a slight chance of showers and storms this morning. Otherwise, probably the mostly sunny skies expected with an afternoon high around 85. Tonight, mostly clear skies with an overnight low around 58. And tomorrow, mostly sunny skies return. We'll see a high around 77. I'm meteorologist Kyle Kleck for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
You've seen them come and go. Franchise testosterone clinics that pop up and then whoosh, they're gone. These franchise clinics quickly find out it's not easy to compete with Limitless Male. Limitless is locally owned and operated with a flawless protocol that has elevated them to be the best in men's testosterone replacement and sexual performance. By adding GLP-1s, our patients are losing weight in a healthy way. To feel your optimal best, schedule a free consult at limitlessmale.com.
Not many businesses can say they've made it 60 years, but Madsen's Bowling and Billiards can. With 12 bowling lanes and the biggest pool room in Nebraska, where else would you go to enjoy an afternoon or evening? There's a great daily specials like $2 Tuesdays, games of bowling, shoe rentals, draft beers, and tacos, all just $2 each. Have a delicious burger at EJ's Lounge before or after your bowling or pool session, and you'll leave satisfied. Madsen's Bowling and Billiards at 47th and Dudley.
In today's digital landscape, the security of your business is non-negotiable. That's why you need better cybersecurity solutions. At Hamilton, we make it our business to protect your network, data, and digital assets with the latest in cybersecurity technology. Our dedicated team of experts has the technology in place to protect what matters most to you and your business. Stay ahead of cyber threats with better cybersecurity protection. Hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Demorne Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back in. Second segment of the Don't Punt Hour. We got the former Husker, Demorne Pierson-El, on the Allo VIP line, where they understand the importance of exceptional service with a local heart. And with that being said, you can also chime in on the Starting Heyman text line, 402-464-5685. All right, Demorne Pierson-El. On that first segment, I did tease it a little bit. There's some great games in week 3. And really, you can make the case there's great games every week, because week 2 is supposed to be the quote-unquote sleeper. Not too many ranked-up matches, and it turned out to be just an awesome week of college football. But I also did mention some of the numbers of last week. What do you think the most watched college football game was of week 2?
Us, obviously.
Actually, it was not us. We were about...
Really?
Yeah, it was not what you would...
Michigan.
Go ahead.
Michigan, Texas?
That is correct. Michigan.
Really?
That was the number 1 watched game all week. And then we were number 2 with about 6.3 million people watching.
Well, I mean, that's just a different amount of time. If we were at the 12 o'clock, all of America would be tuning in then. So, I mean, it is what it is. Both games, I guess, were a bit of a shocking and somewhat blowouts. So, I mean, I'll take it. It is what it is.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad at all. And like you said, I think it was more to do with the timestamps than it actually was the importance of the games. But, yeah, so Texas at Michigan, and that was the most watched by quite a bit. It was 9.35 million people. And then, like I said, pretty good week for NBC. Colorado at Nebraska, 6.3 million. Can you guess number 3? And this wasn't supposed to be here, but obviously people tuned in to wonder what the hell is going on.
Probably the Notre Dame game, just because the upset.
Yeah, it was Notre Dame. Everybody had to drop what they were doing. Not a game that you probably circled, but like I said, NBC, they did pretty well. Felt good about themselves because they got a lot of views for them. So again, here's the order: Texas, Michigan, that was 1. Colorado at Nebraska was 2. NIU at Notre Dame, that was 3.9 million. And then the rest of them, it was Tennessee versus NC State, Arkansas at Oklahoma State, that's at 5, 6, South Carolina at Kentucky, 7, USF at Alabama. You're just going to get that Alabama fan base always ready to watch. Iowa State at Iowa, a good rivalry game that brought in 2.28 million people. Baylor at Utah, And then at 10, the Ohio State Buckeyes fan base, they tune in. Western Michigan at Ohio State with 1.7 million. So those were the top 10 games this week. Let's talk about this week going forward here. And, some of these games shouldn't be intriguing, but I can't help but be intrigued simply for the way these teams are playing. One of these, it might be a snoozer, but Indiana, their offense looks intimidating. And they also get to play UCLA. And I'm curious to see, what does UCLA look like against a Big Ten team that really isn't playing the grinded out style of football, but a little bit of 50-50. Well, they'll throw it, they'll air raid it. They beat Western Illinois 77-3. Before that, in week 1, they beat FIU 31-7. What are your thoughts on Indiana's offense? And can they keep this thing going? Because if you look at their schedule, they don't really get a quote-unquote tough opponent. You can throw Maryland, Northwestern, or number 23 Nebraska, but otherwise it's 17 Michigan and a number 3 ranked Ohio State. They got some of the quote-unquote lesser Big Ten teams outside of Michigan, outside of Ohio State. Thoughts on Indiana? Can they keep this train rolling?
They might be a shock if they can keep things, consistent. I think they have good players. I think they recruit good players. I think that coach, has got them to a comfortable place. Them versus UCLA, that's going to be, one of those welcome to the Big Ten type of moments, because Indiana can catch you slipping. And Indiana in the past has caught, some of these big teams, slipping. I remember, I think when Ohio State had Denzel Ward and they were on one of their, runs, Indiana caught Ohio State slipping one year. So with the right players and with the right attitude there and whatnot, that could be a rude awakening, or that could be, a big welcome to the Big Ten with you not even realizing it. So I think that'll be a good test to kind of see what's up or what to expect from UCLA versus, some of these other bigger schools in the Big Ten, or some of these more powerhouses in the Big Ten. And I'm not talking about, your Penn States or anything like that. I'm talking about your tier 2, tier 3 type teams.
Yeah, I'm curious. It feels like things might actually be looking up for Indiana. Now, again, you look at the teams they played, they should be winning these games. But you drop 77 points on anybody, I don't care. You're dominating that team from beginning to start. You only gave up 3 points. So Indiana, I'm not sure what they are right now, but it's going to be fun to watch, especially if they maintain this kind of trajectory, because they do get Nebraska on the schedule eventually. 23 ranked Nebraska as of now. If Nebraska keeps winning, who knows how high they'll be. In Indiana, if they keep winning, they might have a number ranked to them as well. That being said, I got to talk about another game here. We mentioned it yesterday. Oregon, they barely escaped from Boise State, which, by the way, Boise State's running back might be in the Heisman conversation. He's been an absolute animal through 2 weeks alone. We'll see if he can continue that. But Boise State might be a solid football team. Dylan Gabriel, also in the projections, a little bit shocking. He's also one of the Heismans, kind of at the back of the pack, though. Oregon's got Oregon State, making an in-state rivalry. Oregon State 2-0 in this one. Oregon holds on, ranked number 9. Even though Oregon's been slipping back in the AP poll, is this the game where Oregon finally trips over their own feet in a rivalry game? We've talked about how those games can go before. Thoughts on Oregon facing off against their in-state rival, Oregon State?
I think those games where you can possibly get. I think Oregon knows there's so much they're possibly to take over, and what the Gabriel over there, and what the consistency of their, moving.
We're losing you a little bit. Good morning, Pierson-El. I'm not sure if it's just a bad spot. I know you're taking care of important family matters, so if it's a tough spot, we might have to get you back in here. Go ahead and try saying it one more time. We'll see where we're at. All right, so that's going to be it from Good Morning Pierson-El. If he calls back in, we'll bring him in. But obviously, taking care of the family there. So if we get to Morning Pierson-El when he's on the road, he may call back in. But in the meantime, we'll keep going through some of the schedule here. Yeah, you look at number 9 Oregon versus Oregon State. Dylan Gabriel's stats, although they are impressive, it does feel a little bit empty at times. You look at him, he's in the back of the pack in terms of the Heisman race right now. I'm not sure what to think of Oregon. Like I said, they're slipping back in the AP poll simply for the fact that these games that they have been in have been so close. But we might see Oregon finally drop one here. And Dylan Gabriel, he's not Bo Nix. Now, Dylan Gabriel's case is interesting because I thought, he probably should have stayed at Oklahoma. I get it. He may have some connections as to why he would want to go over to Oregon. You look at the offense that Oregon runs. You look at what Dan Lanning's got going on up there. Feels like it would fit his style. It's a lot of short passes, so he's got a solid completion rating, about above 80%. But we're going to see some times here where he's going to have to push the ball downfield, and Oregon State isn't no joke. All right, good morning, Pierson-El. We'll try it again here. We got you back on the Allo VIP line. I kind of gave my thoughts on Oregon State. We'll try it one more time. Give me your thoughts. You sound good now. That's better.
I think, with Oregon, I don't know if Oregon loses it, but it could be one of those track games. It's an in-state rivalry. You play them every year. You know they're going to play you well. Not to say that offense has been, Oregon has been struggling, but we just don't know exactly what we're getting from Gabriel and company. It doesn't look quite, enticing. So this could be one of those games where, Oregon State could end up, shocking you or whatnot because they know you so well. And, if you've been not necessarily taking those next steps, you played at Boise State. Idaho gave you some trouble and whatnot, and then right off the bat, you kind of get the team that typically probably plays you well. That could be, a mix for a rude awakening for Oregon. It could be kind of the perfect storm to kind of, knock them off, their high horse and whatnot.
Yeah, if you're Oregon, you want to take care of business here. You want to maintain, be in that top 12, make sure you get a good spot for the playoffs because they're winning games. Like I said, they're doing what they need to do to keep that undefeated record, but they're getting tested early. Now, I will say, I think Boise State's going to give teams a lot of trouble. That running back is insane, and that offensive line's doing well blocking for him. So it could be one of those things like we're talking about with Nebraska volleyball and SMU. If you watch the game, you kind of see it. You're like, wait a minute. If you're looking beyond just the box score, you're like, SMU's a good team. If you watch that Oregon or Boise State game, you're looking at Boise State like they got a hell of a running back, and he's second place right now in that Heisman race. So that being said, I'm still not sure where we're at with Oregon, but this will be a fun test for him. Get some real competition. All right, another game, and I like picking these games because in the era of college football, you just never know what's going to happen. Does Notre Dame bounce back? They go from number 5 all the way back to number 18 in the AP poll after losing to Northern Illinois. Didn't quite pull off the FSU from top 10 to unranked. But Notre Dame's, they got Purdue. Purdue 1-0. They beat the brakes off Indiana State 49-0. Again, you never want to belittle the opponents they're playing, but, you get a shutout and your offense puts up 49 points. Does Notre Dame get let down again and continue to fall out probably if they lose this one of the AP top 25? And it's at Purdue. I should say they're on the road for this one.
Oh, they have to honestly probably win out because the strength of their schedule, I don't think technically will be anything crazy. I think if you lose to Purdue here, I think you can probably pretty much, kiss your playoff dreams goodbye.
Yeah.
The rest of their schedule, they got Miami of Ohio, Louisville, Stanford, Georgia Tech, Navy, Florida State, Virginia, Army, and USC. Like that's not, and even if they do win all out, that schedule that doesn't make me necessarily be like, you deserve, to be there. You didn't play the Ohio State. You didn't technically, hit that checklist. So people still might overlook you because of, you're not really playing, top tier people or anything like that. You kind of playing middle of the pack or non-irrelevant, teams or whatnot. So that if they lose, like I said, for sure they're done. I don't think there's no coming back unless you got two teams that have 4 losses, and unless something like that happens. If they win, you kind of can keep your hopes alive and hopefully kind of get that 12-11 spot, hopefully.
Yeah, let's keep talking about some of these ranked teams here. In particular, teams I should say fell from the grace of being ranked, and a team that said thank you very much to Florida State will take a ranking because the AP poll is interesting. At 25, Northern Illinois thanks Notre Dame because there's a reason they beat a number 5 ranked team. They get number 25 in the AP ranked poll. And at 24, Boston College, after they upset FSU, you see them at 24. We'll start with Boston College. 24 ranked Boston College with the running style quarterback that they have in Monte They are going up against number 6 Missouri. But this one's on the road. They're playing Missouri. Any hope for Boston College to keep on to the okay.
No. I think this will be a massacre. I think Missouri might be one of those teams that you see, in the playoff teams. They're a sneaky team. They got a lot of people that, came back. I understand that they lost, their star running back or whatnot. But I don't think people are talking about them enough. And I think, they're one of the top SEC teams, honestly.
Yeah, you said that, and you deserve credit. You made this call before the season started. You made the call when the season ended. Watch out for Missouri. The Tigers got it going right now. I think this is a unfortunate, abrupt ending for Boston College. I think FSU is worse than we thought, and I think Boston College took advantage of it. And, give them credit. They did what they needed to do, but I think this is going to be a rude awakening of being like, if you want to be an AP-ranked opponent and you want to see what the real top-tier ranked opponents look like, I think Missouri's probably going to dominate this, and they probably love it because this looks like a great win for them now. Now it's not just playing Boston College. It's playing a ranked Boston College. And if they embarrass these guys, well, hey, they might jump into that top 5 AP poll based on how this week goes. So I think you're right. I think Missouri's foaming at the mouth, especially saying, hold on, Boston College is ranked now? Yeah, let's go send a message here. I think Missouri dominates in that one, especially being at home. That fan base is rabid. Nothing like Nebraska. Nobody beats Nebraska, but they know how to have a good fan experience down there, and that place is going to be rocking, even though it's Boston College. Like I said, that's 24 ranked Boston College now, so they're going to be ready. Yeah. I give Missouri the nod on that one. Let's talk about Wisconsin. Wisconsin's been interesting. It hasn't quite been electric. Now they're doing what they need to do to win games, but they got number 4 Alabama. Alabama's on the road, though. They're heading out to Wisconsin. Any hope for the Badgers to slow down Alabama enough with the new head coach? But I got to be honest, Alabama looks like they're firing off on all cylinders, just like they were when Saban left.
Alabama doesn't seem to be missing a beat. They got a kid, I think that's 17 years old, and they keep saying he's supposed to be in high school. And the man looks like a mix of Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith. Like I don't think Wisconsin survived that. I think that one might get out of hand early, honestly. Wisconsin's just not the same Wisconsin that we're used to. They haven't technically, reloaded like we've seen them over the past couple of years. And I think honestly they're going to get whooped. I don't think it'll be close. I think probably Alabama starters will probably be done shortly after halftime, probably.
I was going to give them the third quarter. I wasn't going to be that mean, but I think you're on par with what I'm going to say.
I had some concerns just because, following up Saban that's a tough act to follow. But the type of coach that they kind of got there, the guys rally off of him. If you go back and look at, the dudes that was at Washington with him and everything like that, it's going to be different than Saban. He does things differently. And, I might have thought in a few years, but you still have, blue chip players at just about every position. So that makes his job, a lot easier. He is a good coach. And I think, Alabama still will have to, will still provide problems for people.
Yeah, it's a big opportunity for Wisconsin to say, listen, I know the first 2 games we didn't dominate like the way we maybe should have, quote unquote, should have. They beat WMU 28-14, and they beat South Dakota 27-13. Now, again, you did what you needed to, and you won by double digits. So you feel like you're winning games convincingly enough, but you maybe wanted to look a little bit better because you do got Alabama in that third game. And then after that, you got number 11 USC, which I know you were hesitant on USC, but they look pretty damn good too. And then you got Purdue. We talked about Purdue. I know it was Indiana State, but they beat the brakes off them 49-0. They get a shut-on top of it. Then you get Rutgers. Then you get Northwestern. Now, Northwestern, that team, I don't feel good about this year. I watched that entire Duke game. It was grueling to watch. The Jackrabbit running across the field was probably the highlight of that game, and that says a lot because it went into overtime, double overtime at that. Northwestern, just their offense struggles so much. You know, if it's not them getting turnovers, Duke blows them out of the water. And in Duke's case, stop turning the ball over. I mean, they were just handing Northwestern the ball, daring them to score, which led them to a double overtime. But then you get number 8 Penn State, and then you get Iowa, and then you get number 9 Oregon, and then you get Nebraska, and then you get Minnesota. So it doesn't really get any easier for Wisconsin. Once you get past USC, you have a little bit of break, like I said, with Purdue, maybe if Purdue kind of falls back to reality, and then Rutgers, Northwestern. But then that's a gauntlet at the end there with Penn State, Iowa, Oregon, Nebraska, Minnesota. Say what you want about those teams and how good they are. They all want to punch you in the face. Like, all those teams want to bully ball. And I just think it could be a brutal road for Wisconsin here. I'm not sure what to think of the trajectory of this team. Final game I want to talk about, Utah versus Utah State. Number 12 ranked Utah. Who do you got in this one? And let me double check here. I do believe it's at Utah State as well. I think Utah is on the road. Yes, Utah is on the road.
I'm still taking Utah. Utah has been what Stanford was when McCaffrey was there, where they were running the Pac-12, where no matter how good USC was or whatever, you still had to go see Stanford, and Stanford was a problem. Utah has that type of aura around them. They're going to a softer conference. I think things will be easier down there for them. You're playing your in-state rival, which, I mean, they can go back and forth, but I mean, as long as Utah takes care of business and do what they need to, they'll probably, be one of the four championship teams that gets, 1 through 4. So for Utah, this is, handling what we can and what we need to handle now. So later on in the season, when everything is right and we do what we were supposed to, our checklist is done. We got 2, 3, 4 or whatever because of, conference championship. That's what this type of game is, to Utah. I don't expect Utah to be in any trouble or to struggle with Utah State at all.
Yeah, I would have maybe gave Utah State a little bit more credit, but we talked about USC earlier. USC embarrassed them, 48-0. They don't even get a field goal out of it. It was USC's game all game long, and that's with the second string, third string in the second half. So if they showed a little bit more life, maybe I give them some hope. But yeah, I think Utah's going to take care of business. They look pretty good, sitting 2-0 right now. Not really showing too many chinks in the defense. I think they run away with that one convincingly. And if you're, Utah State, we mentioned Boise State. Yes, you get to play Temple after Utah. This is a gut check game. Say you get embarrassed by USC, then you go back-to-back against Utah. You hope you get your mojo back against Temple, but then you got Boise State at Boise State, and we just saw what the run game looks like for Boise State. Utah State's struggling to stop any type of run right now. So with that being said, we're going to wrap it up here, but definitely some games to circle for this week 3. And tomorrow, don't worry, all in on Nebraska versus UNI. We'll talk about some of the key players. What does that run game look like for UNI? Because that's certainly their bread and butter. But nonetheless, good morning, Pierson-El. Appreciate the time as always, and we'll do it again tomorrow.